Hello and welcome to the Footy Mailbag. My name is Damo and here with me is Clarky. How are you, my friend?
Ahoy hoy, I'm doing okay. It's January. All the training notes for Melbourne are good. Nobody's been super injured and we've got a lot of really young guys. I'm excited that football's coming back. I've been put in charge of, actually, Damo, I don't know if you have this responsibility in your life, but maybe some of the listeners can relate. When you're like the fantasy sports guy at your workplace who is kind of filled with people with like varying ranges of interest from none to like, oh yeah, like that sounds really cool, but I can't be bothered organizing it. So now I'm like the commissioner for most of the fantasy sport leagues that end up needing to be run. And the best part is, and this is a tip for all those working in probably more corporate settings, more office corporate settings, but you could probably convince someone to add it to your scorecard and KPI as team building to just start a Supercoach league. This is the best time to do it. You just go, oh, well, I just wanted people across departments to, to sort of mingle a little bit. Like it gives us something to talk about and you kind of galvanize. And it is true. I did an NFL fantasy work league and there's a bunch of people who our company kind of works across a few different countries as well. We had some people from the United States doing our NFL fantasy league and I probably wouldn't have interacted with them all that much outside of that. So just proof once again that fantasy sports is literally A, good for your professional life and B, good for your social life. Make friends, build bonds.
At my work, I can't convince anyone to sign up for Supercoach, but they are aware that I am heavily into it and have this podcast, and they always ask me how I'm doing, but I can never tell if they're sincerely interested or just asking because they want to be nice.
Oh, they're giving you the are you winning, son?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, pretty much.
You win your little game, Damo. You win a little sports game.
They call it my footy betting, so it tells you how much they care about it.
Are you winning, Damo? Is this the year? Are you going to win Supercoach 2026?
You know what? I would settle for just getting the top score in a round.
What a way to dodge that. What a way to dodge that. Be confident, Damo. I believe you can win.
Yes, I will win. I'm going to be the winner.
Or it could be you, listener, but only if you listen to the Footy Mailbag.
Clarky, last week we did the premiums tier list, or at least we put 40 premiums into a tier list.
The most accurate tier list on the internet, by the way.
Available to watch on our YouTube channel. I haven't posted the tier list on our socials yet. I should do that. Clarky,
you should do that. Post it now with the least amount of context possible, which is even better.
Clarky was yelling at me before we started recording that I hadn't posted it yet, so it'll reach social media hopefully by the time this podcast is released.
Yelling? Really? Are you going to go with yelling?
I don't know. Yelling? You were disappointed.
I gave you a stern talking to, Damo. As a father, it's now kind of a skill that I need to build out. It's just like a stern talking to.
Yeah.
Where I want you to be confident to post the tier list that you made. Be proud of the work that you've done, Damo, regardless of any naysayers who think that who is someone that we put in a tier that didn't deserve it. Tom Stewart fans be damned.
I love that the tier list came out so controversial, but if people actually watch the video, they won't. They will understand our reasons, even though most of the time there are no reasons behind where we've put the players into their tiers.
The reason is really like the class divide. It's like, well, we have a podcast and you don't. That's why we get to pick the list. You want to make it. You know what? Maybe the listeners should make us some tier lists and we'll rate your tier lists.
I would be happy with that. I would be happy with that. It would be a lot to go through, but I'd be happy with it.
No, it's fine. Hey, listeners, send us a tier list, no more than 10 players.
And you don't have to make it S, A, B, C, D. You can name your tiers and put them in however you want. But yeah, happy to have a look at your tier lists.
2026 is the year of mailbag gimmicks, I think, Damo. Last year we were on the farm, right? And the ranch is still currently being prepared for the season. So we're in temporary accommodation while the ranch is being prepared for round zero.
We're in the motel waiting for breakfast.
Yeah, that's it. Well, it's a buffet, so it's a great situation here.
Yeah.
I think maybe this is the year of mailbag gimmicks. So maybe we need to do more gimmicks. Tier lists. I'm thinking Royal Rumbles. Potentially some kind of battle royale.
What would a Royal Rumble look like?
We simulate it using Super Smash Brothers. We create a bunch of like little like generic, like you can make the little generic Nintendo characters that just have, there's like one of 3 classes, right? This is probably going over some people's heads and they're going to say, get on with the poker. We create like a little simulated match between these generic characters that represent Super Coach interests, and we enter them one by one. Actually, you know what? I do believe that not too long ago, WWE was free on PlayStation Plus, so I might have ability to do this. We'll assign each player to a wrestler, and then we'll have them do a full-blown Royal Rumble. I can't wait till football starts. David.
I have no response for any of that.
Look, we'll see. We'll see, listeners. If you're good, I'll do a Royal Rumble.
Speaking of social media, we put out a post a couple of days ago. You couldn't pay me to pick that guy, and we wanted to hear which selection our listeners would not pick even if they were paid to pick them. Some of the answers were interesting. Did you have a look at the answers there, Clarky?
No, I didn't want to be spoiled because I suggested that we do it live. So you're going to hear my live reactions to some of them. But I can think of some of the names that people were saying. And you know what? It tells me the level of integrity that you have on how controversial the name is.
So I'm just going to go down the list of replies in order as they come up on my screen. Steven from SDS Supercoach, he has said Tom McCarthy.
That's interesting. But we know that Steven is a really good forward thinker. We love Steven. So I'd be interested to hear his reasonings on that. And you can probably go follow him and he might reveal them to us all.
I mean, I've been fairly open in that I don't love the idea of paying $500K for someone who's only been in the AFL system for 6 months. So I can understand it, but I don't know if that's his reason. Peter from Nerds for Life doing great collations of training reports and match simulations. Go and follow him if you're not. He said Jordan Ridley. I think that speaks for itself.
Explainable, yep. But that you absolutely could not pay me to pick Jordan Ridley.
Kev from the Jock Reynolds days, he's still banging about on Twitter a little bit.
Hey, Kev.
He has said Sam Draper. His reason, he's actually put his reason as well. He says, not a high possession ruck, and has Grundy, then the bye, then Tom DeConning and Rowan Marshall, then D-Cam, so Darcy Cameron, then Cherry, and then Gawn to start the year.
I think, and I think there is a number, for me personally. I get it. And Kev, we know he's a stand-up guy. We absolutely know that. I think there is a number for me that you could pay me to pick Sam Draper, especially at his price. I think the upside is there, but I understand why people are hesitant when we don't know, like when we haven't seen it.
Good friend of the pod, Jeffrey Head, has said Adam Treloar and his hamstrings.
You know what? I'd pick Adam Treloar, but not his hamstrings. Is that an option?
I don't think that's an option. I was saying the other day, so Adam Treloar was part of the coaches panel 50 most relevant, and I commented on there that there is one picture that always enters my mind whenever I say the name Adam Treloar, and it's just the picture of him motionless on the boundary when he pulled both hamstrings at the same time.
Yeah.
And I mean, in that 50 most relevant episode, you should go and listen to it. Rowan from the Fantasy Marketplace, he mentions that Adam Treloar isn't as injury prone as we think he is, but when you can't get that image out of your head, he is so hard to select.
It's high profile injury, isn't it? It's that lingering memory that we will always recall back to, because I also wasn't, when he did that, it wasn't long after he had just recovered from another injury. Was that? from
Something
another soft
like
tissue.
that,
I think it
yeah.
was not
But
too long after another soft tissue injury, and we're like, "Oh, Trelaw, like he's back, baby! Like that's so good. We love that." And then we watched him destroy both like that athlete in the Animatrix who fell apart at the seams.
it was a high profile injury at the time, and I think that's kind of put him under the microscope as an injury prone player, even though it may not be telling the full story. But yeah, I understand not picking Adam Treloar.
Could I pay you for an Adam Treloar, but with hard tissue and no soft tissue?
I think it would make it hard to
'Cause
run.
the soft tissue is the problem, Damo. So we need to remove it from the equation.
Yeah, I think it would make it hard to run.
That's fair.
Yeah. Silvertop Hurley from the Insight Fantasy crew. He has said Christian Petrarca.
See, that's interesting. I think Petrarca has the same amount of upside that he's always had, which is not a massive amount, but it's not zero. Like as a missing forward option.
He hasn't really gone into a reason. I've tried to see if I can find one. It looks like the early buy and the first buy in the middle of the season is having two buys before many other players have even had one. I think that's part of the reason, but he hasn't really put one, so it's hard to say exactly why he's put Petrarca. But I have seen Petrarca be a response from a few people, but he's just higher in the list that I'm going down at the moment.
Would you pick Petrarca and at what price? Could you be paid, Damo?
Could I be paid to pick Petrarca? Yes. What price? I'm not sure. If we're talking about his Supercoach price, for me to pick him, he would need to be 100k cheaper.
But what if I offered you a Zinger box?
But we can talk.
Hey, you know what? Half the deal is getting him to the table.
Yeah. Pistol Pete has said Jason Horne-Francis.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
No notes on that one. I will not be looking at the horny one this year. Also because he kind of seems like a little bitty crybaby.
He's still not really over that foot issue because he's left the track a few times. So just for injury purposes, it makes it difficult to put any trust in him. A name I didn't expect to see.
Go on.
Kyle has said Connor Rosie.
I don't know what to make of that one.
Yeah, I don't know. You couldn't pay me enough to select him. I would select him and give you change.
Give me change. Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. I appreciate it though. You know what? Everyone's team is different. I can understand not building your team around him.
Jez has said Sam Flanders.
Is that because of Ross Lyon, do you think?
I'm not sure. There's no explanation.
Damo, we just got to speculate. We've got to put words in these people's mouths.
I mean,
I think Jez has.
I would suggest it's a Ross Lyon thing.
Yeah. Or maybe someone called Flanders has been stealing his mail.
Maybe. AJ has said George Wardlaw.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
it's the injury history with that one, isn't it?
Yeah, and people really like George Wardlaw. I think we all do. I think we all really talk about him because he's another player with pedigree. And it's easy to get sucked into that, but I can kind of agree to sticking to your guns on that one. I don't think I could be convinced on Wardlaw either.
Here's one that I don't think really needs too much explanation. Matthew says Degoe.
Boo.
He goes into the boo lab.
Yeah.
Fabs has said Lockie Neal.
Also boo.
Goes into the boo lab.
Also learning his best captaincy moves from Dane Zorko.
Jay has said Luke Davies-Uniacke.
That's interesting.
I can understand it from we haven't seen a consistent ceiling point of view. So there's no real there's no real argument to select him. Mind you, there's no real argument to not select him either.
I think it's like a ceiling.
Jack has said Darcy Parish.
Ooh, okay. I think it's interesting when people pick these value guys because, or sorry, quote unquote value guys, because they're so. I guess it really gives you an indication of where people's risk profiles are at. We know that Parrish not that long ago was probably a contender for one of the better premiums going around in Supercoach before injury, and it seems like he's strung together a healthy period. So
I'd need to see Darcy Parish in the preseason.
I'd be more likely to pick Darcy Parish over Colby McKercher, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Interesting.
Anyway, moving on.
Jordan has said Miles Bergman.
See, I agree with that one. I agree wholeheartedly with that one. I don't know what's going on.
Miles Bergman is a tagger first, so I think he'll have good ceiling scores, but they won't be consistent scores.
Yeah. Okay.
Aaron has made a good point. He says he's open to every player. Closing yourself off from anyone is silly, but he has also said he hasn't been convinced by Kitty and Coleman yet, and we'll need to see him in the preseason.
It's yeah, you know what? That's the duality of Supercoach. Is you should never write anyone off unless they've done crimes. In my case, or B, unless you just don't feel like it. But I agree on Kitty. I'm not rushing to slide him into my team unless I'm devoid of backline rookies.
Good mate Jesse, formerly of the Falcon, he has put the three burn men of the apocalypse: Treloar, Zorko, and Horn Francis.
Boo for one of those.
Lynchy, not just Lynch. Lynchy has said Sean Darcy. I get it.
Yep, that's good. That's a good one.
Crows are done. I can't read these names for some reason. Crows are done has said Hayden Young. I also get it.
Anything to advocate for Hayden Young from your camp, Damo?
He's had long-term injuries. They've all been soft tissue. He seems to have had a full preseason so far, and they seem to have found the root cause of it and how to prevent it. But it's hard to select someone unless you can see the results. So I get it. And then just other names that we have already touched on.
Just other names, but this segment is over.
Well, we've got Constantine with Parrish. We've got Lucas with DeGoey and Draper and Bergman. JG has come in with Sam Draper. Mark has come in with Draper as well.
Have you got one that's not on the list, Damo? Is there someone that we couldn't pay you to select?
Adam Treloar.
That's not on the list, Damo?
That's not on the list. Let me see.
Ooh, I've stopped him.
I don't think you could convince me to select Bailey Dale.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah, I don't think you could convince me to pick Bailey Dale. Like, I don't. Yeah, Bailey Dale's my answer. What about you, Clarky?
You just don't like him, or you don't look at him and get the little goosies?
I don't know. Like, I've just never really. He doesn't seem to do anything any differently to what anyone else does, but to score well, like there's nothing good about, like, exciting about the selection.
Yeah, that's fair. That is absolutely fair.
Like, he's never going to play in a different position, so there's never going to be the potential for anything to really happen with how he plays. So he's probably going to be a fine pick if you want to select him. I just don't really think that he's, useful.
I just don't think he's useful. Okay.
What about you, Clarky?
You could not pay me to pick Zach Butters.
Interesting.
It's not really that interesting. It's more just I really don't like Zach Butters, and I can't explain it in any tangible way. It's not based on scoring. It's not based on ability.
See,
I just don't like Zach Butters, and
I love Zach Butters.
I just don't. I don't want to spend $650K on a guy that I don't like when there's other players that are around that price. So I'm like, just spend $50K more on Bontempelli, or just spend like $30K less on Dacos.
I love Zach Butters. I find that interesting. Okay.
It's just, I think I also have a lot of questions about Port.
That's fair. That's fair.
And I want to be very clear that like it's not stat based, because if you look at Zach Butters' stats, it's like if the name wasn't attached to him, I'd be like, oh yeah, pick that guy. Like that guy's a premium.
Question without notice, Clarky.
Yeah, go on.
Port Adelaide are in betting lines 7.5 wins. Are you over or under that for them on the season?
7.5. I'm probably going to say over, but only because I think there are teams that will do worse.
I would say they sneak into the over. I think they're probably going to just get about eight to 9 win. Yeah.
8 or 9 feels right.
The thing is, 7.5 is such a weird place to put them, but because it's there, it has to be over. Because 8 or 9 wins probably seems about right.
Yeah, and it's nothing about them specifically. I think it's just there are A, teams that are better, and B, teams that are worse. Which is crazy because they finished pretty low last year with 9 wins, right?
Yeah.
They finished just above Melbourne, if I remember rightly. Melbourne managed to string together 7 wins in one of the worst years, but I think Melbourne will do worse. I think North will probably win a couple more. Richmond will probably stay about the same. West Coast will win a couple more, but still remain low. Essendon could go either way. Carlton, I probably think, might win less. They had 9 last. So I just think they kind of sit in that sweet spot where I think Port are above some of those teams, but below so many others, like Sydney finishing 10th with 12 wins is actually not super far ahead of that 9 win mark.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on most of that. We opened up the questions to our listeners and we got quite a few in, so we should get cracking onto those. But before we do, make sure you go and check out thefootymailbag.net, our website. We're going to put written content up there and updates throughout the season. I also put out on social media, we want to fill a mailbag Masters League, and we want the best of the best in that league because we want to try and get a top 10 overall league. So how to stake your claim and get a spot in the league, DM us, email us, comment on one of the many posts we've circulated around our social media pages about the league. All we need is your last 3 overall finishes.
Very good.
First question comes from Matthew.
Hey, Matthew.
My current team is looking at value, but then when I step back and see the team structure, it's the definition of mid-priced madness. How many primos, mid-prices, and rookies is ideal?
I think you pretty much need to stick your team at this time of year in January. Be very clear. It's January 29th today. Your team should be like, we got 22, so say 3 premiums-ish in defense. I'd probably say 4 to 5 in mid, 2 premium rucks, 2 to 3 forwards, and then the rest should all be roughly rookies. I don't think you don't want to build your team around sliding in the mid prices. Use the mid prices they'll be nice to have come season start, but focus on having space for the rookies, for the potential rookies, and then having the extra cash to bump some of them up when they don't get the green tick.
And look at your team a different way. So you might have a lot of guys in that mid-price range, but have a look and see how many keepers you have, or how many players that you're planning to keep season long, and sort of look and sort of count that, because some people will start a guy like Colby McKercher, who probably sits in the mid-price range, but he's probably in, and people are seeing him as a season-long keeper as long as everything goes to plan. So look at your team as keepers as opposed to premiums, mid-prices, and rookies as well. And maybe you'll get a better idea of how you want to structure your team, because if you've got a lot of guys that you've paid between $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 for, and they're not guys that you can see yourself hanging on to season long, then maybe that's when you need to move a couple up, move a couple down, and start shuffling your team that way.
Yeah, I think that's actually really the best way to put it, isn't it? You want to try to limit the number of upgrades that you will need to make throughout the course of the season, and mid prices aren't always that.
And he also wants to know, what are our thoughts on navigating the early buys?
Oh man, I'm so pretty that I don't have to have a single thought in my head about those early buys.
Look, it's best 18. I think the last few years we've seen that because of the best 18, no one's really been super disadvantaged by going heavily on any of those opening round teams because of the best 18 there. And we've still got the fresh rookies. We've still got everyone in their new roles. We've still got teams with the whole season ahead, and they're still playing for everything. So I don't think you need to worry too much about the early buys, but I said it in a few episodes ago, you just need to make sure that there's balance. You don't want to pick too many players from one team and then restrict yourself when that team is on a bye.
Yeah, agreed. I would probably also say that the focus, if you're looking at buys, should be on the mid-season buys, not the starting ones.
Next question comes from Ash. Can you get away with Wanganeen, Malera and Rosie as the only premium defenders and fill the remaining spots with Coleman, Yulin, Moniz Wakeland, Lindsay, Sarong, etc.?
Sure.
You definitely could. I mean, I'm doing something similar in my forward line at the moment. The only premiums that I've got, or almost premiums that I've got in my forward line, are Sheasel and Flanders. And so the rest of my team is pretty stacked, but the forward line I've decided probably has the most job secure rookies, and so I'm only going too deep in the forward line. So I see no reason why you can't flip that and go too deep in defense.
Okay. That's interesting. What's the best way to think about this? I would think that you shouldn't, kind of what we've said already, you shouldn't be locking in your defensive structure until you can rely on those guys to play. Like let's call one of those things. Like, we know that Coleman is more than likely going to be in the Brisbane side based on what Fags is saying. However, there's still plenty of time for setbacks. Moniz Wakefield isn't even back with the main group yet from his ACL, PCL, whatever the other CL is. He did the trifecta last year. He's not even back with the main group, and I genuinely, as a Melbourne fan, think that he could struggle to find his way back into that group, even with the Bowie injury, just because of the amount of guys who they probably want in the side to play from halfback and also through the mid. I'm thinking of specifically guys like Trent Rivers and Caleb Windsor have been playing a little bit through there. And then obviously plus Salem as well. So it depends on what Stephen King's new structure is. Yulin, Lindsay, Sarong, etc. Like, yeah, these guys seem likely now, but a month is a really long time. So just give yourself an edge of a contingency plan if you need to move that.
But do you want to know the beauty of right now? It's January. You can play around with so many structures. You can go. You can prepare yourself for any situation with the rookies right now.
I cannot wait for the It's January
you can go.
t-shirt.
You can go. I love this structure. If this happens, I love this structure. If this happens, I love this structure. If this happens, you can play with your team to your heart's content. Tinker, tinker, tinker. And then you're ready, and you have a team that you can select then that you like for any situation to do with the rookies, who's out there, who's going to have job security, all that sort of thing. So, maybe you get to March 14th and round one is here, and maybe Wanganin, Malera, Rosie with rookies galore up in defense is the way to go. Perfect. And maybe you get to March 14th and that's not the way to go. So you have to make some changes. But yeah, right now, while you can make as many changes as you can, just keep playing around with different structures.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I hope that helps. I think if you wanted my direct answer personally is if you can do it, the answer is you can, but I don't think you should, is my non-fence sitting, encouraging you to do what you want to have fun with answer. I don't think you should. I wouldn't do that personally. But it is viable, and that's the most important thing, and we encourage you.
Next question comes from Jeffrey Head, good friend of ours.
Hey, Jeff.
He has said, ruck rules, ruckety ruck, ruckety rules. Which rucks are we starting, boyos?
Currently in my proper I've been posting my team, trying to post my team once a day, Damo, and it's gotten to the point where I realize nobody's going to be happy no matter what I post, so I'm just posting nonsense now. I'm trying to come up with new themes. I'm trying to come up with different rule sets, and I'm trying to make them theoretically visually viable. However, I do have a draft of my team that I'm like, this is probably the rough blueprint of what I want to work off, and that involves a ruck line of Sherry and Jackson, which breaks my heart to not have Max Gorn in there.
At the moment, I have Cherry and Jackson, and to be honest, I think that's the one line that hasn't changed for me this entire time.
Now, for the listeners who may or may not be initiated, there are some ruck rule changes. I don't know if it's come up before. I don't know if you've heard this from one of the many other content creators or from the AFL themselves, that affect the way that ruck contests are going to be played around the ground, which is probably going to impact the scoring of some of these top-end rucks. And to be quite honest, I don't have any real faith in whether it's going to be good or bad for any specific ruck.
Yeah. So the rules that you're talking about there's the one in the middle where the rucks can't cross the center circle until the ball is in the contest, so until it's left the umpire's hands. So the rucks that love to wrestle, they will have less opportunity for that, and then also contest the ball while it's in the air. So we'll see guys that like Tristan Sherry, Luke Jackson, and all that, who are good at ground level as well as in the air, get at the ball easier than say someone like a Toby Nankervis or a Riley O'Brien. The next rule is obviously there is last touch out of bounds between the arcs. So if the ball comes off an opposition foot and it rolls out and it's on the wing, the opposition team gets to kick it back in. So less stoppages between the arcs is probably what that leads to. This same rule has been in the SANFL since 2018, and you don't see a lot of difference. So I don't think it will change too much, but there might be one or two less stoppages around the ground because of this rule per game. I'm not sure how much that changes. The other one that is probably the most pertinent is the umpires won't wait for ruckman at around the ground stoppages. They're just going to pick the ball up, wait 2 or 3 seconds, and then throw the ball up. So, and there's still no third man up.
Yeah, so it'll basically involve the nominated ruckman would need to either be close by with the contest, limiting their ability to score in other ways, or they're not near the contest and removing their ability to score at a stoppage. Say in the forward line, I think of for Melbourne, it would be, like a Van Rooyen, Majacek, or whoever would just put their hand up and go, yep, cool, like, let's go. And the same thing with like a key defender also going up against them. I find that one the most interesting because I think different ruckmen will play it in a different way. I think of, and this is the part of the reason why at this moment I'm reconsidering Max Gawn. It's his ability to score at the moment is that he diversified his scoring outlets by playing more defensively and playing more offensively in other positions that wasn't specifically the ruck, but there were a lot of contests where he would have to travel across the ground to make it to a contest. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, if he's going to be in less contests, then that's going to limit that ceiling just a little bit for the most expensive guy. But also, if we're talking about these ruckmen who are versatile in also having a low to the ground midfield ability, like Jackson, like Sherry, probably even some of these younger guys that come through now, like I'm thinking like a TDK, potentially it could really be good for. It'll be very interesting because it's speculation, right? Like, we don't have any understanding of exactly how it's going to impact scoring because there's no data that suggests it from an AFL level. It makes me want to invest less in my ruck line than I would have in previous years where these changes not there. As I said, only because I don't know where that is, and then, if I do miss out on a top line ruckman, am I shafted because I can't upgrade? Like, what's your approach in that, Damo? Are we going for someone who's just out and out versatile, or are you pulling back a little bit?
We need to see these new rules in action. So I think the community series will be really important to see these rules, in real time, in real game sort of situations. Like, we could get to the end of the community series and decide, I'm not spending more than $600 on my rucks anymore, and completely just, move that money elsewhere. We could work, like, maybe Sam Draper and Mark Pitney, for example, are the best rucks that we can get to because the new ruck rules have completely ruined ruckman. Like, maybe that's the way it's going to go, but we just don't know yet because we haven't seen all these new rules in place to be able to gauge the impact.
Yeah. All I know, Damo, is that's going to be interesting, and I think it's going to adapt as the season goes as well, which is going to be the really hard maneuver for coaches this year. And that's what scares me, is that it is going to change in a more volatile way if there is any significant change. So I feel like Sherry and Jackson are kind of in the sweet spot in terms of right in the middle of ability and potential for impact.
Yeah. Jeffrey Head also has a second question. What is the max amount of injury risk players you would field or you would select? Look, I've got 3 at the moment, 4 if you want to count Philippou. 4's probably the most you can probably choose. It depends on your confidence in them and what sort of injuries they're coming back from.
Yeah, I probably don't want to pick more than 3 across my whole team. I think I've only had 1 or 2 in most of my drafts, which has been like a Parish. I toyed with a Trelaw at one point. Parish is probably the big one where I'm like, okay, I think he is someone who has a lot of upside in terms of the way that Essendon is changing and the seemingly improved Parish. But like I said, I don't think I want to have too much risk overall. So I think somewhere between 2 to 4 is probably a sweet spot.
Something like that is probably good.
And it's okay if you have 0.
Next question comes from Jack's Pack. He wants us to look at Jai Caldwell. He's only 2% owned currently. He averages 115 Supercoach in his last 15 games where he attends 60% or more centre bounces, or centre ball ups as they are now called.
Yeah.
I looked at Jai Caldwell. I have thought about Jai Caldwell.
Spent a lot of time not playing.
There is something stopping me, and you've probably nailed it on the. You've probably hit the nail on the head there. He's injury prone. Actually, I remember owning him. Was it last year or the year
24.
before?
It would have been 24 because he was very cheap in 24.
And he finished a game, scored like 86 or something, and then during that week he was out for the season. He'd done his ankle. I watched that, and I remember watching that game and going, I never saw him do his ankle. He finished out the game.
That probably would have been last year. He scored 96 in round 17 against Gold Coast, and then didn't play the rest of the year.
Yeah, they just decided he was out for the season. He did something to his ankle. It's like, did he? When? Like, that's the thing. Like, he can play through injury to the point where after a game he's then injured and then out for the season. So it's difficult. I think he might be a player that you couldn't pay me to select now.
He's 545k is really expensive for that risk as well. I don't know.
Yeah.
I agree that on paper, if he is injury free and you are willing to take on that risk profile, then I think he is an absolutely excellent pod. I think the Essendon midfield is changing.
To be fair, like we spoke about, like literally a question before, the amount of injury risk players, 2 to 4. If he's in your 2 to 4 injury risk players, then I see no issue in it, because at 545k, if something does go pear-shaped, it's pretty easy to find a replacement at that price.
Yeah. I think you probably pivot to someone like what, like a. I
think Will Ashcroft is like the same price.
Yeah, I was thinking Will Ashcroft, Jack Steele, I think.
Yep, cheaper.
He's another one who, I know he's 5'10". I know he's also got an injury history, but has also been training really, really well, and is playing as part of Melbourne's core midfield group. So just another one to watch. But yeah, I like Caldwell as a selection. I really like that you've called it out, Jack. So honestly, stick to your guns. If you're really hot on him, there is absolutely data to suggest that if he remains injury free, he's going to go absolute gangbusters. But is 115 his ceiling? Do you think he could push past that? Because where's the headroom? Is he a keeper? Actually, that's probably the question. Is he a keeper, or is this like I'm going to build a little bit of bankroll and then flip to a bond when I can get him? Or
if I'm paying 545k for him, I am hoping that he is a keeper.
Which I suppose is why the injury risk is coming to our mind at first. But yeah, I support you, Jack. I think it's good. It's a good call out.
Jabs wants to know how many Dockers is too many Dockers, and will Cooper Simpson
3
be getting games? Clarky. So we have Mini Monk on the podcast every now and then. We are both Fremantle supporters. I sent a team to Mini like a few weeks ago, and I had 7 Dockers in my team, and even he said I had too many Dockers players in my team.
7.
So I now only have 4.
7.
Yeah, I had Clark, I had Young, I had Sarong, I had Jackson, I had Tobin Murray, Leon Kickett, and Adam Swade. Like, they all made sense, but too many.
Yeah.
Way too many. But yeah, will Cooper Simpson be getting games? He was in the B team for Match Sim the other day. It would suggest he's behind a few, but I think he could push in. So he might not be a starting selection for round 1, but he might be a downgrade option throughout the season.
Very good.
And this last question comes from Jeff, a different Jeff.
Hey, Jeff.
Clarky, we're going to have fun with this one.
Yeah.
It's not classic relevant, but his draft league has 8 players, and he's trying to figure out a fun and competitive way to allocate the draft order, a punishment for last place on the ladder at year's end, and how to encourage more trading in season.
Okay.
And I really want to thank Jeff for his question, because he says he's been listening every week for years and he appreciates our efforts every season.
Oh, thanks, Jeff. That's very sweet of you.
Fun and competitive ways to allocate the draft order.
It kind of depends a little bit on the interests of your group. I always think it's great to do things like, I've always been a big fan of like the video game approach. Do you have like a little bit, like a little Mario tournament, little Mario Kart tournament? Do you play a bit of Smash Brothers?
I was thinking Mario Kart or
even like a round of golf, or low key, depending on your age and ability, one-on-one basketball tournament.
Yeah.
I always enjoy those kind of group ones that are incorporate an interest that you share as part of that group as well. Obviously not doing harm to yourself, so I wouldn't suggest, I wouldn't irresponsibly suggest to say a drinking contest, but you can do that if you can do it safely and responsibly as part of your group. Poker tournament, I don't hate that. That's not good. It's very tough to do the draft order, isn't it?
If everyone in the league is a dad with a young child, you can have a baby race.
Yep, exploit your children.
You could. I've literally Googled it, and it's come up with balloon dart pop. So put numbers inside a balloon, and then pop the balloon, and then whatever numbers in it is your draft number.
Yeah, very good.
Go to like get a horse race or a car race, and draw numbers out of a hat, and where that horse is in the when it finishes, or wherever that car is where it finishes is where you're drafting. It's I mean, there's lots of ways. I love them. I think the Mario Kart one is a really good one.
Yeah, I think it's fun, inclusive, and safe that we are willing to suggest in a public forum that would make us liable for any damages.
Punishment for last place.
Damo, I got to ask you, like, I don't know, and Jeff, once again, this is up to the dynamic of your friend group, and we encourage you to safely and responsibly engage in activities. But I'm never a big fan of the punishment being specifically designed to humiliate. I've always been a big fan. One of the ones that I enjoy is you have to go to, say, the pancake parlor, and you have to finish like 50 pancakes in one sitting. Right, like you cannot leave the table except like use the restroom. But there's like no, like you got to stay in that pancake parlor as long as it takes for you to eat 50 pancakes, or something similar to that. I always enjoy those ones where it's almost like a long, not, I was going to say torture, and torture is not that much better than humiliation, but in sense of it's more of a test of endurance. It's, what is it, 12 hours or 50 pancakes, whichever you finish first.
Or you could do it, you could go a different way. Before the draft, vote on an amount that the last place coach has to donate to charity.
That's good. We like that. We enjoy supporting charity. I also enjoy Butler for a party. Once again, not designed specifically to humiliate, but say they are the drink boy, and making sure everybody is appropriately refreshed and snacked up for your next party, for your end of season party.
Or an end of season party, last place has to pay for it all.
Money bags. The one that we did for a different friend group league is that the person in last place had to give a 5-minute presentation on a topic of the winner's choosing. no matter the topic and no matter their expertise on the topic. So they had to prepare a slide deck and then present that to the group.
And then how to encourage more trading in season.
This one's interesting because it comes down to, with 8 players, it's league size, right? Like, it's player size.
See, you've been in a draft league with me. Obviously not for AFL, but for NFL.
We're in AFL draft leagues as well.
Yeah, true. But in the NFL one, I reckon I put out trade offers every single week just because I look at my bench and I go, look, these players are scoring. That guy needs this. I need this. Let's make a deal. And 9 times out of 10, I don't get a response. But hey, I'm trying.
I'm trying to decide because I don't want it to come across as harsh, but I'm going to funny anecdote because Damo, I love you. You're one of my favorite people. I love talking sports with you. I love doing sports with you.
Go on. I get it. I think I know what you're going to say, but go on.
One of my favorite things is the dichotomy between you when your season is going like middling and could go either way, where I was getting trade offers from you, I think once a day for about 2 weeks of different players. And then last season when you won, and I didn't hear from you from the start of the season until the end of the season. I didn't get a single offer. And I asked you about it at one point. You're like, why do I need to trade? My team's winning. And I thought that was the funniest thing in the world. I still think about that quite a lot because you were so.
I found a cheat code where I drafted Saquon Barkley, and yet I won.
You were so enthusiastic and persistent with your trade offers when it was literally like going from like constant to 0 that I was like, Damon must be doing well because I haven't heard from him this year. We're at round 4 and I haven't had a single trade offer. What I would say to encourage trading.
Sorry, just to finish off your little story there, we had people in the league because obviously I was invited to the league by you because it's mostly your friend group and family, and they were asking you if I was okay.
Yeah, I had people checking in on me going, is Damo alive? Is he all right? I was like, yeah, he's fine. He's just winning. Have you checked the results lately? Encouraging trading is tough, right? Because I find the biggest, this is personal. I find the biggest reason that people don't trade is because everybody attributes value differently. And it's very easy to take a stance of I'm not getting enough, or you're not I don't have enough to give. So you either don't send a trade offer or you don't come to the biggest thing is to try and encourage people to discuss and meet halfway. And the other thing is to consider your league size as well. So how many players are going to be available in the pool? How many players are on the teams? If there is not enough assets for someone, say you've got eight teams, right? If there is not enough value for someone in 8th place to make a reasonable offer for a player to the person in like third, fourth, second, wherever, then it's already kind of imbalanced and that person is on the back foot because nobody wants the things that they have. To try to encourage people to draft correctly and B, also having enough available assets that somebody could say pick up a free agent who becomes really valuable or make a trade that is of easily perceivable value. Once again, these are all kind of arbitrary and depend from person to person, but that's my take, is to try and limit the size of the league so that there's assets available in free agency and there's assets available for trading, because then you feel like you're never really going to lose anything because you can dip into the free agent well and get some players to fill you out.
Yeah, I think you said it there. You have to really hit the sweet spot between team size and free agency. And then you'll find that someone might pick someone up in free agency because there's a long-term injury, and then obviously the player they get rid of hits free agency, but someone might pick up someone, drop someone who's not even getting games, and then when that other player comes back from injury, they've now got too many of that position, and then that's when they've got something to trade. So there's opportunities where you could look at other people's teams, bookmark certain players and then see what's happening with those players in those teams down the track in the season. And if they're on someone's bench and not getting used, then that's when you can make an offer for them. But yeah, so trading in season is difficult because everyone perceives someone's value differently. But yeah, to encourage it, it's so difficult. So
it depends on the person. Right? So my beautiful wife, she joined our NFL fantasy league.
Yes, I have attempted to trade with your wife.
and this is exactly the story I'm going to tell. So, she's not really. She kind of follows NFL, but she's not like as into it as the rest of the group, right? She's not like poring over stats. She's not like listening to like podcasts and taking content because she frankly doesn't have time and has other interests. But she was like, oh, well, if you need a person, I'll play and I'll do my best. And Damo would make her a trade offer. And I remember I was in the kitchen making us some tea, and Jess calls out to me. She goes, Damo's just sent me a trade and it's crap. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, took a cup of tea over and she showed me the trade, and I was like, well, I mean, like, it kind of breaks even. I was like, it just depends on whether, you think you need another wide receiver or you think that you'd rather keep your guy. And what she said to me changed the way I thought about trading with people, because often you don't consider what the other person is thinking. And what she said was, why would I want to give up that guy if Damo wants him? That means he's good. And I was like, I get it. Sometimes it's as simple as that. And that's why it's, trying to consider the skill level and the mindset of each person. It's almost impossible to singularly encourage trading by going, hey guys, you can trade. But some people are just not going to want to do that because they're afraid of missing out on the asset that they have. And that's okay. You can probably try and find some way to incentivize it, but ultimately it's going to come down to, there are people like me who I'm just like, yeah, whatever, like, let's see what happens. It's not, this isn't working out for me as it is. And like when I was like, oh, I should probably trade Alex Witherden in one of my leagues, I was like, I'm going to get rid of him, stuff it. And then that worked out for me because I now own Ollie Wines, which kind of,
And Alex Witherden isn't in the competition anymore.
Yeah, and then there's the flip side of that, where I traded Will Day for something that I don't even remember who I traded Will Day for, and that didn't work out, and then now has worked out 2 years later. So, don't stress too much if people aren't trading. Focus more on trying to just encourage everyone to like chat and be friendly, because I think then people will feel more comfortable trading when you're not worrying about FOMO or ulterior motive as well. Sorry, I've really dragged out the answer on that one, but it's kind of like almost a complex fantasy sports psychology question. Yeah. The art of the trade.
Honestly, great question from Jeff. Hopefully he got something out of everything that we said, though.
Yeah, and hopefully the thing is that I'm very handsome.
Oh, he can't see you, Clarky. I can, and I can say that you are.
Yeah, very good. But thank you so much, Jeff. We want to do more draft content.
Yeah, tune in next week, just as a bit of a teaser for you. That's it for this episode of the Footy Mailbag. If you haven't given us a rating on your listening platform of choice, please do so. It helps new listeners find us. And you can find us at Footy Mailbag on pretty much every social media there is, at the Footy Mailbag on Instagram. I am at DamoSC on Twitter, at an underscore to that for Instagram. Clarky, where can people find you?
You can find me at QuantumJC, or chilling out in the world, just trying to enjoy life, take it slow. Remember, Supercoach is for fun. So don't stress too much. It's January, t-shirt coming soon. The first mailbag t-shirt of 2026. It's January. Don't freak out. In italics, sans serif font, Damo, if you could.
I'll work on that. Thanks for listening. We'll talk next time.